on your end, right? That's not mine, right? That music. Okay, all right. Just make sure. What is happening, everybody? It may be late, but not too late for the PGA DFS Live Before Lock show. I feel like we almost are live before lock. We're going to end this show. I'm going to put my head down on a pillow, and I'm going to wake up, and Daniel Berger is still going to be withdrawn from the event. Hopefully nobody else, though, Ben, as I bring you in here late on this Wednesday night. We've had a little bit of a wild and crazy first couple of days, the most amount of withdrawals we have seen in quite some time. We're going to get started on that. But before we do, Ben, we got to tell everybody about Monkey Knife Fight, don't we? The sponsor of our show here. Player props-based contest. They're easy to play in. They don't require a time commitment. You don't have to worry about ownership and study all that. And guess what? You're going to get $50 free from Awesemo using the promo code Awesemo. And you get to pick the buy-in level for your contest. They've got it for NBA, PGA, UFC. Ben, am I missing any? Soccer, maybe?
They got anything that there's big contest, big money. They've got it over there. So no doubt about it. We are doing, I mentioned this on the show before, a free March Madness pool over there. So if you want to give it a whirl, there's literally no reason not to. It is free. You can check out that show that me and Matt just did, description. You can register for your bracket right there. A lot of good stuff going on at Monkey Knife Fight.
Yeah, love it. Love all of that. I love the difference that we get from playing all of these. So, all right, let's jump in. We do have a bit to talk about. A lot of withdrawals I have written down here. I think 7. Obviously, the big one today, Daniel Berger is withdrawn due to a rib injury. We've also got Gary Woodland, Scott Piercy, Doc Redman going down to COVID. Kramer Hickok, don't know why he withdrew, but he did. Sam Burns and Brian Harmon. So, Ben, I mean, we take out like 4 good golfers right off the bat.
Yeah, and there wasn't that many good golfers to begin with. So it's listen, the Honda's been jumping around in the schedule. This doesn't seem like the answer because they have nobody here. Interesting situation. You were adamant that Berger was not going to play. He did not, of course, but it was an opportunity for me to bet a lot of guys before that happened. That I'm really happy about that situation. I do kind of wish on the DFS side that he did play because I wasn't going to play him much. Would have came in under, probably would have worked out. But a weak field, the easiest way to say this, a weak field just got a lot weaker.
It did. I think it created a couple of more opportunities that I will talk about in a little bit with that ownership shifting to other people. Now, I would have much rather faded Daniel Berger being injured than the guy I'm going to end up fading because of it. But it's where we are, and still we've got to fade somebody. You can't play everybody. But before we do, want to talk about the weather. It is going to be 15 to 20 miles per hour winds all day, Thursday, and basically all of Friday. Maybe the last 9 holes of the Friday afternoon, guys, Ben, will get a little calmer weather. I mean, we're talking about, we're talking about a few miles per hour. It's going to be tough. Look to the 2018 playing of this. +5 was the cut line. I think we're heading towards something like that. Are you building for anything specific, looking at any tee time stacks, Ben, or are you just going to do what you normally do, build a couple in each wave?
Yeah, it's still that concept. So the good news is that it's going to be windy all day. It's not like, okay, these guys are going to get killed and then it's going to stop and these other guys are in a great spot. You play in this tournament, you're going to deal with serious conditions. The cut is going to be several over par. There's no doubt about it. It's a fair test for everybody. There's going to be unlucky breaks within this wind, when you hit a shot and the gust blows it in the water. But you know what? Everyone kind of has to deal with that. So some tee time stacks, but overall, this is just a tough test of golf.
It is. It's always one of the toughest. And the fact that we're getting kind of a weaker field is going to kind of amplify that a little more. Obviously, when you don't have the best players in the world here to keep that winning score low, it's definitely going to creep up there. So interesting to see how that is going to play out. Let's go ahead and go into our top end fade. I kind of teased it a little bit. With Berger being projected somewhere around 30% on the first print, maybe even higher, that ownership's got to go somewhere. And with the way the odds have been reacting all week, Joaquin Niemann started in at 22, 20-1. If you got him there, awesome. I got a little piece of him there. But now his ownership is ballooning, and I'm going to take the fade, Ben. For me, Sungjae versus Joaquin. At this golf course, I'll take Sungjae every time. Plus, I think Sungjae's ball striking is much better right now. So I'm going to take the higher owned fade of Niemann and roll the dice.
Yeah, really interesting situation. There's almost nowhere to put the money this week.
Exactly.
Because certainly I don't even really consider this a high-end fade. Lee Westwood is not in my player pool. That's just not going to happen. So I did get to these other guys, Sanjay and Neiman, because I was just able to. But certainly when you talk about him, defending champ, he's built for. We've talked about par 70s in Florida, which of course this is. He thrives on them, and it's not just because he won last year. I do think long-term we're going to see this is his type of golf. Yep. Neiman is impressive. There's no doubt about it. Hasn't missed a cut this year. Hasn't liked this event so far, though. So 59th and a missed cut. I still think he's firmly in play, no doubt about it. It's just a matter of really where do you want to allocate. You don't have many options because, as we talked about, Berger is now gone. There's only a couple guys up here.
There is. And want to turn you guys' attention. Listen, it is St. Patrick's Day, last day of our Shamrock promo as well, Ben. So not only are they going to get all of this, the college basketball stuff that you're putting out right now and the projections for the tournament for the first week of it, but they're also going to get, of course, our PGA DFS stuff. I'll be updating the pro plays right after the show, as I do each and every week. That, if you're wondering what that is, that's how we are allocating our ownerships this week in GPP formats. So take a look at that. Plus, we've got, of course, player projections, ownership projections that Ben and I were just speaking about, really important this week, as we mentioned, Joaquin in the fade. So come in and join us. Use that promo code Shamrock. You're going to get 50% off your weekly Awesemo Platinum Plus pass. So go ahead and use that. Again, last day to do that today. So other than Neiman, we know that Im is going to be also pretty highly owned. Maybe a little spot with Lee Westwood and Adam Scott that are not going to be. But I think you and I are semi-aligning on Adam Scott. The ball striking is just not as pure as we would like it to be when we're paying $10,000 for this guy.
No doubt. He's actually, when Adam Scott rides a hot putter, I expect wins, not made cuts. Exactly. You don't get that too often, and he has gained strokes putting in 5 straight events. He's gained more than 2 strokes putting in 4 straight events, and his best finish is 10th. That's not going to get it done. He's lost over 5 strokes off the tee in 2 straight weeks. It's a product of water, but he needs to shore that up. I definitely think he can, and in this field, it's bad, but you're paying a lot of money for that. I do think you don't want to just spend to spend. So is he in the player pool? He is, but Russell Henley is right there. I think this is a pretty good course for him at 9,800. And certainly you're going to see a lot of people go very balanced this week.
Another spot, if you want to get, I'll say daring, I guess, me fading a 40% owned Neiman, I guess would consider that a little daring. But another one that's going to be getting a lot of this Berger ownership as they look for a guy they can, maybe rely on this week, Shane Lowry. I mean, this guy's going to come in 35% owned. And I'm going to be honest. I think that the course sets up for him. I think the conditions set up for him. But I came off of him on DraftKings because if he's one of those chalk bombs, 40% in some of these contests is going to be a big-time fade. If you can get a Neiman and Lowry to miss the cut and you fade them, you're going to be so far above the curve, it doesn't really even matter.
No doubt. Listen, these Florida courses, it's not the most exciting thing to talk about, but the true story, we saw it last week. And, it's like, how does Rory and Cantlay and Finau and all these guys miss the cut? It comes with the territory of these golf courses. It's very difficult to consistently avoid water. And sometimes you don't have it. Even for a round, there's no coming back from that. So I like Shane Lowry. I think, again, fine play. But I lean so heavily on game theory in these specific weeks that there is almost no player in this field, if he was that popular, that I would get over on. It's not to say that I won't have major ownership on some of these guys, but you just have so many options. Tringali, Kirk, not Ricky, but Gooch is there as well. Like there are pivots if you want to shave off ownership.
Yes, Ricky. We'll talk about Ricky in a second.
I mean,
I do want to talk about Ricky in a minute here, Ben. But before I do though, let's just talk about this ownership for a second. What I did like was if you got Neiman at the beginning of the week, 20-1, you can cover a lot of DraftKings actions with that. Lowry at 28-1, similar place for me. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to look to the leverage and say, I know my upside is winning a GPP in DraftKings, right? That's the ultimate goal of the week. If I can cover those bets and fade those guys, and if one of them win, that's the only place I think they're going to hurt me. Well, maybe Lowry, if he comes in the top 5, he ends up hurting me a bit, but I don't mind betting on that. So, okay, now let's talk about Ricky Fowler. If there's ever a week where this guy can come in the top 14, top 14, top 15. All right, we'll say 15. It's a week where the cut's going to be +5 or 6. He keeps the ball out of the water. That's the big key. Keeps the ball out of the water. And then maybe he makes a weekend run. Here's the thing. He can't get to Sunday. Doug Gim, same price. He's getting to Sunday, but can't finish. I feel like if Ricky can get to Sunday, he's going to give us something. So I'm playing both of them this week. I like Doug Gim a lot. I have no problem going right back there. And the fact that I'm getting a combined similar ownership as Cam Tringale, Ben, I'm going to play Fowler and Gim together in a decent amount of spots.
I mean,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to drag you back in.
No, listen, Doug Gim. I think we're seeing what you have talked about, and I certainly come on board. This is a young guy, and he's got the talent, and he's putting it together on the fly, and he's starting to break through. Sunday with JT at the Players is not a great spot, and we saw that.
No.
Now Ricky, I mean, cut line around 5 or 6. He certainly knows how to play in those conditions because he's done it about 50 straight weeks. I don't know what to say. The ball striking is broken. The putter has now reflipped. The around the green game has and is still very strong. In this win, that will help. But there is no we were talking about this before the show. I will crab walk across Texas, which takes like 50 hours if Ricky doesn't put at least one in the drink. He just can't avoid, and it's so difficult to hold rounds together when you're in the water. And that's just been the Achilles heel from him for over a year now. So it's in the field this week. I get it, but he can't avoid those blowups. I think he's a better showdown play than full week play.
It's a good call. Last thing on Doug Gim, awesome podcast from I believe it's No Laying Up today that I listened to for quite a while. No. That's why I get it mixed up. It was the Barstool one, the four podcast. I don't know what that's called, but I had to listen to it because I like Doug Gim. You know, I've been a fan of Gim for a little while. So he talked about how he was nervous and totally blew it. But like you said, playing with JT Sunday at the Players and JT ends up winning, not your best spot to break through. Maybe it is this week though. Tough conditions. Okay, let's go into our we're actually talking about leverage value. So now we can, I guess, talk about a couple more guys in here, actually. There are a few more I wanted to mention. Matt Wallace. Here's a guy that can light it up on and around the greens, and he's only going to be 2% owned. Now, granted, his price is way out of whack. He's not playing that great, but he just showed up at the Arnold Palmer. Okay, he didn't play bad there. So what do you make of Matt Wallace? Throw in Martin Keimer there as well, and Dylan Fratelli. I think they're all good leverage spots this week.
Definitely. Matt Wallace, when he's low owned, is always appealing. Now, this is a guy, you look at API and you think, man, this is great. Gained across the board. Let's not forget he missed the cut at Puerto Rico. So the floor is non-existent for a guy like Matt Wallace, even in a field like this. Fratelli's the same way. He puts it together and then he loses it, and then he puts it together and he loses it. In a field like this, how could you not want that? His irons looked good. I'm definitely there on both of them in tournament settings.
Yeah, especially at 8,200 and under 10% for Dylan Fratelli. He showed up on the 2018 leaderboard, which, again, I'm using for a comp conditions-wise. Also showing up there is Luke List, who we'll get into in a little bit. Want to get your opinion on him here this week. Of course, before we move on, though, want to make sure everybody is liking and subscribing, especially the subscribe portion. We come out with videos all week, especially Ben with college basketball now taking the forefront for basically the next month. Make sure you subscribe to our channel so you get notified when we do come out with a video. Of course, we got our producer behind the scene, Tyler. He's always doing stuff to my videos to make it sound and look better. So make sure you check out those short form videos. Now, let's move on to our Make the Cut segment. This is where I think I wrote down, I counted 45 names this week, Ben. If we get to all of them, good for us. I highly doubt it. But let's start off with a favorite of ours. We like to play a good bit. I'm playing a good bit this week. I think the conditions set up for him. Plus, if he just makes the weekend, he's going to give us good value. JT Poston, guy that can light it up with the putter.
Yeah, listen, he's got that weird combo. The irons need to be better. There's no doubt. But he's got the off the tee game. Normally, he always has the putter. And just to add to that, Chad was asking about Mackenzie Hughes. It's a similar situation. Mackenzie Hughes' tee to green is horrendous right now, and that's concerning. But I get what you're thinking there. I prefer Poston, though, if I had to pick one.
I do too. Just go back to last week. Poston shot 6 over on Thursday, battled back to just make the cut, and then moved up on the weekend, tied 22nd. Of course, if Hughes can get to the weekend, maybe he does something similar. I know his points. Ross, I had him on one decent lineup. So he scored a decent amount of points, had a decent birdies, but he's got to get to the weekend. So I would lean Poston there. Some chalk that I didn't meant to ask you about, forgot. Brendan Steele and Cameron Davis. I actually think they're both solid plays this week. In my GPP builds, I've done a lot of them with a Matt Wallace or Dylan Fratelli. Then I'd go up top and get, say, Sung JM. That's how I've been building. I do like them. How about you?
Yeah, so do I. Listen, I mean, in a field like this, those are the type of guys, they really are towards the best players in this field. And although you're paying more than you normally do, it's hard not to think that they can at least return a pretty quality, barring they stay out of the water, which is a huge if for everybody. But I think they're pretty solid in all formats.
So last week, Ben On was going along nicely.
Yeah, for a little while.
One over on day one, which wasn't that bad. The average score on day one, I think, was like 73 or 74. And then he got to 17 and put up an 11. He took it kindly and lightly on Twitter, as he's known to do. He's quite a good personality. But does that translate into a good start this week, where he does have 2 top 10s in the last couple of years, Ben, including a 4th place finish in 2018, which, again, I think we're having almost like similar conditions or exact same.
Yes. Penny on out early again tomorrow, which is hilarious, as he normally is. I don't think all miscuts are created equal. Do I want my guys to make a 11 on a par 3? No, but everything that you do after that, to me, is meaningless. Like, that you're out of the tournament. He got away from him. And this is, of course, you've mentioned it. He's a great around the green player. I think he's in a very nice spot for a bounce back.
Wyndham Clark seems to be getting more ownership than Hanan, and I don't know that Clark's game is in any better form. Granted, their course form is relatively similar. So are you playing both, or are you choosing on if you have a one or the other?
I'm choosing on. I mean, listen, Wyndham Clark is kind of an erratic player, another short game specialist, but he was really struggling at the Players. And I don't know if he's hit the brakes here now that we've gone to Florida. He's gone miscut. I'm a little worried about Wyndham Clark.
I am too. I just don't know, since we heard about that injury when he was in contention. He just has not played well since then, Ben. So I think I'm there with you. Okay, Russell Knox had an interesting week last week. If the wind is going to be up, he'll be obviously a play that people talk about. Does he make the weekend for us? I think he does. I think he gets through pretty easily.
So do I. Not my preferred target in the upper 7s, but a guy that I think you could play.
Guy that I'm definitely playing and is going to be part of my hot takes this week. So I hope you say he's going to make the cut, because if you say he's not going to make the cut, then my hot take's going to look terrible. But yeah, it is Brendan Wu, talented kid, obviously out of Stanford, top 10 in Puerto Rico. That's why he's here. He's going to play next week in Dominican Republic as well.
So, this is your category, not mine. Don't know this guy much. From what I've seen, he's taken advantage of, the few starts that he's gotten. That's enough for me to see. This is an event equivalent to the Puerto Rico in terms of strength. So this is not a huge step up. Guy seems talented, definitely in play, no doubt about it.
Yeah, the elevator pitch on Wu came out same time as Morikawa, the other guys. But I shouldn't say he came out at the same time. He came out a couple months later because he wanted to play in the Walker Cup team, and the other guys didn't really care. They just wanted to go turn pro and make their money, do what they wanted to do. So he earned enough points to get him into the Korn Ferry Tour, which then he came in the top 10 of the Korn Ferry Tour, but because of COVID, got pushed back. He now gets in the alternate fields events, which, of course, he then top 10. That's why he's here. So, again, pedigree thing for me. I think he, in a year from now, could be in the Doug Gim position at 88, maybe even 9,000 in a field like this. So I think we're getting a discount. If we don't get the week this week, I know it's coming soon. That's for sure.
The other thing with him, this is not, we've had a couple guys turn pro, whether it's Ogletree or Augustine or whatever. This guy's got some experience, not a ton, but he's played against this level of competition before, and he's gotten it done before.
Yeah. And I might be a little early on some of these guys, but like you said, now Wu's been basically a pro a year and a half because of COVID, and certainly seems a little bit more tested. So another guy in this range, two 7,700 guys that for this event in this conditions, Alex Noren and Adam Hadwin, they both hit a lot of greens. They're both pretty good around the greens. So they're both in my player pool. I have more Noren. He came in third in that 2018 showing. So again, just a comp year. How about you for these two guys?
So I don't have a problem with Hadwin. I'm not really there, though. Did it all with the short game. He's a good short game player. I can't quit Noren. He didn't do it with the short game. He didn't do it with anything. So I don't know why that's a good thing, but he's so built for these type of conditions. I absolutely love when it's, a winner at 7 under when I think of Noren. Now, he did manage to triple bogey 18 3 days in a row over 2 tournaments. That's really, really, really hard to do, but he has everything you need to handle a type of course like this in conditions like this. He's one of the best in the field in that regard.
Totally agree. And if it turns out that I'm right using that comp in 2018, he's going to be right there again. And it's not like his game has been far off.
No.
He goes from peaks and valleys. He's not the top 20 in the world that he was 3 or 4 years ago, right? But he's still a real quality player who certainly turned a corner from where he was a year ago even, really struggling to make cuts. So definitely like Noren a lot this week. Definitely going to get to Jim Furyk tonight, but not quite yet. We got a few names before. One guy that I'm fading that I think is going to be higher owned. He had a chance to make the cut last week. Kevin Streelman. I'm out. I just don't see it here. I don't think it's a perfect course for him. And in that same price range, Harold Varner. There's wind. Varner is not for me. So I'm out on both of them this week.
I have a little Varner just because I have some teams that are a little more aggressive with like Cam Davis and him. Not there on Streelman. It's nothing, you look at the ball striking and it's actually fine. I just don't really like anything about the situation though as a whole. He makes a bunch of cuts here at Honda somewhat consistently. No finish is better than 41st though. And you're not paying, this is not 6,800 make a cut. This is 7,700. You're talking about players to me that have serious equity, whether it's Wu, Poston, Noren, EVRs. There are other guys that I think you would take shots with before Streelman.
Yeah, I was going to talk about this guy in a minute or two, but the fact that chat just brought him up, I gotta talk to you about him. It's Rory Sabatini. Now, he had one of the funnier things happen to him last week.
Yeah,
I shouldn't say funnier. I shouldn't say funnier.
Almost killed them.
Spieth almost killed him. If you guys haven't seen the video, what happened was they were on 11, and Spieth and Morikawa, their tee time was 15 minutes behind the Sabatini group. It was a planned one. They were going off in 9-minute increments, but they planned it for 15. So Spieth and Morikawa didn't see anybody all day. They got to 11. Spieth hit, and Sabatini was in the trees and right. Spieth hit it off the tree, almost killed Sabatini. And then an ensuing conversation happened, which was caught on the mics, and it was just hilarious. Spieth basically just saying Sabatini is the least liked person on the PGA Tour, among other things about Morikawa and his girlfriend. So all this brings me to say, I think he's a good play here this week, Ben. I think he's in pretty good form, and I am playing him.
Yeah, he actually does fit. Listen, as a whole this week, you're going to have to take some leaps because these guys just aren't going to have the ball striking numbers, the consistency that the top level guys have. So you're talking 7,200, Richie Wawrinski right there. Ryan Moore is someone I like, but Rory Sabatini firmly in play.
For sure. And I see Eric checking in our chat tonight. He joined me on the Monday show. This guy's a ringer,
on the Tuesday show.
Why didn't we know about like how good this guy is at golf? Like we could have brought him to the DFS Open with us and saved ourselves a little skin here because we didn't play all that well. That's
a we there is nothing. You played. I was just walking around aimlessly, not trying to get eaten by a gator. But yeah. Ton of fun this week. There, we got some big things planned. We're definitely going to bring on, do some 3-man shows. A lot of fun in the golf streets coming up.
For sure. All right, let's keep going down our make the cut segment here. Cam Percy, maybe a little bit far down, but he was on my list, and I saw chat just bring him up. So we'll talk about Cam Percy. The guy actually seems to be playing pretty well right now. I think he's a good fit this week.
Yeah, Aussie. Traditionally, they're good in wind. He's not the best guy for it, to be honest. He doesn't really like difficult conditions. He leans more on the irons than he does the around the green game. So it's a sliding scale. I worry that if it's really difficult, that could be an issue. But at the same time, again, you're talking sub 7 here, and Jim Furyk, he's 6,900 just with Jim Furyk. So you're shaving off, what do you think? Cam Percy's like 1/8 the ownership of someone like Jim Furyk. I mean, that's a sizable difference.
It sure is. And we're going to get to Furyk in a second, which astounding ownership numbers. I mean, Phil Mickelson's up there and he's getting like 1%. Aren't they like basically the same player at this point? Eric Van Rooyen, Aaron Wise, and Luke List. Those are three pretty sexy names. I'm interested in Luke List this week. I think the form was there. I don't think the last 2 weeks are the course for him. Maybe I'm wrong. Aaron Wise, not for me until we get into the top 20 again. And Eric Van Rooyen, I have a standard 5 or 10% on him in GPPs because you just never know when it's going to be his week.
Correct. He's definitely in fields like this a long-term buy. You just set it and forget it. I have no reason to think he's going to play well, but that's not what we're talking about, honestly. I know that sounds counterintuitive. Luke List, yeah, listen, Luke List has really made strides getting up and down, doesn't mind the wind, not on people's minds. That's partly his fault. He hasn't been playing well, but I don't really worry about that, to be honest. I mean, this is someone who's had an erratic course history. He was runner-up in 2018, as you referenced. So can he get it done? Absolutely. And it's a very reasonable tag.
Michael Thompson and Patton Kizzire maybe a little bit more conservative than those other three guys. I like Thompson. However, I think Kizzire's weaknesses get shown a little bit here in the wind. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the strengths shine here with his putting and continue that sun run type of stuff going on. But I would rather play Thompson of the two.
I would too. Patton Kizzire's, he's a tough sell for me. He's got a lot of Andrew Putnam in him. Like he's very weak off the tee. His irons have been better, and I give him credit, and he's an elite putter. I just don't know if you're going to be able to get away with that here. And looking at Patton Kizzire's course history, he certainly hasn't gotten away with it here. He's lost strokes off the tee in 4 straight years. I have a feeling it's more of the same from him.
Me too. Just not getting there this week. Okay, a couple more names in this range. Like I said, I wrote down a few. Phil Mickelson, sure. Let's. I'll give you the floor for 5 seconds about him.
I mean, I guess you could play him this week, but I still am not. I'd rather play Zach Johnson.
Just about to say, I'm sure you'd rather play a guy that has literally not missed a cut in what seems like a year and a half.
Yeah, I'd rather play him. Even Matt Jones, who another good wind player. Listen, Phil made a cut last week, but I'm not sure exactly what you're getting if you roster him.
Nostalgia?
Yeah, like I got enough of that around. We're not going down the Phil train, even in this field.
Fair enough. I'll get it with Fowler if I'm going for the
exactly. Nostalgia. You can find everything that you want with Phil. You can get with Ricky, including drives that you didn't know existed. So you really don't. You're not missing too much if you don't play Phil.
For sure. A couple more names that I like. Rafa Cabrera Bello. He's playing here this week. And oddly high-owned Johnny Vegas. I mean, he's not really playing that good, but saw Awesemo have him over 10%. I haven't checked the latest update, but maybe a little course history thing there. I don't know. He has played well here. Ben, are you interested? I mean, if there was a week to play him for me, of course it was last week. He played okay.
I mean, listen, Johnny Vegas kind of does that. He's got some splits. Puerto Rico was really good. He's played well here. I get it. I don't really want to chase that ownership. There's just so many other guys. Ryan Moore, RCB, I think is interesting. Again, really weird year for him. Hasn't been in the best form by any stretch. But this is still a guy with a lot of pedigree. He's played in Europe. I do think playing in Europe this week in particular does help. They see conditions like this all the time. And some guys over here, they haven't dealt with, being able to grind it out is a totally different skill set than trying to go at every flag and rack up, Corn Ferry 25 under wins. In Europe, sometimes when you're playing in the hurricanes, tornadoes, like 3 over wins. So it's just a different type of golf.
It is.
They're in Kenya this week, by the way. Didn't know they had tournaments in Kenya. That's pretty wild.
2 weeks they're in Kenya for
Sweet.
2 weeks, which interesting enough. A guy that's won here before, a couple of years ago, Keith Mitchell. I think I would rather play him than Johnny Vegas, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's another guy, I was kind of just alluding. There's so many other guys, and Keith Mitchell's not informed by any stretch either. It's just a fact. If I was going to roll the dice,
Yep.
I'd rather roll it on the 1% guy than the 10% guy because I don't have these guys that much different.
Guys that I also don't have different like at all, Adam Long and Nick Taylor, but yet Adam Long seems to be getting double, triple the ownership. What's that all about?
Yeah, again, this is where game theory takes over. If it was flipped and the other guy was getting 3 times the ownership, I would be saying I like the other guy because it's too close. You're talking about, think if you were flipping a coin and if it landed on heads, you lost $1, but if it landed on tails, you won $3. Well, pretty easy solution there, like what you would be doing. It doesn't mean it's going to land on tails, but you're getting more reward if it happens to be. And that isn't even a perfect example, but the point still stands.
Totally agree. Let's see if you agree on this next guy. I've tried to figure this guy out. I think you have too. I definitely have way more. I think you tried to play him a little bit, but I think these are the events to play him at. It's Will Gordon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm playing in it this week. We've seen him play well at tough events.
So this is a question that has to be answered. Will Gordon has been awful around the green so far, and he's a great putter, but he really has done nothing to get up and down. And that is the one thing he's going to have to at least improve on to hang around here. Now, everything else checks out. And this guy's talented, and I think he can do it, but that's the one thing. I'll put it like this. If you see him miss the cut, I guarantee his around the green game is what does it.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I'm hoping, if we can get those irons in play this week, won't miss that many greens, at least the first 2 days. Because we know in a -7, -8 winner event, Will Gordon's going to be a top 20 scorer if he gets to the weekend.
Yeah.
It's just how he plays, and doesn't matter where. It's just how he plays. So do like Will Gordon this week. I think you're getting great upside there. Harry Higgs and Ches Reavie along with Tom Hoagie, all in that range. Chad has brought up Hoagie a couple of times. Hoagie looked good last week in a couple of spots. He faded toward the back end, but I do like Hoagie, Ben. I think I'm going to play him a decent amount. I think he's one of the best plays. I think he's actually under 7K, if I'm not mistaken. I think he ends up being one of the best plays under there.
Yeah, good price tag. I will say the problem with him is I do think he's one of the guys that gets a bigger bump down with really tough conditions. He's a pure iron player, and you're not going to be able to hit a ton of greens here. You're just not. It's the way it is. I don't think he's built for what he's going to see here, but his price keeps him at least in the conversation.
A guy that had a rather adventurous way to make the cut, Patrick Rodgers. Decent here. I think that the conditions might be okay for a 7K Rodgers to make the weekend.
Yeah, he's got to improve the irons. He was able to do, he gained 2 strokes off the tee and 2.5 strokes putting, but he lost 6 with the irons last week. That's a weird combination. He kind of gets away with that, though. I'll put him in the JT Poston bucket. So I do think that he makes the weekend, and it actually is a pretty fine play. Lucas
Glover?
I don't know about him. I was kind of into that, and then the more I looked, I don't freaking know. He in theory makes sense, but he can't putt, and I don't really like him in the wind, so I don't know why he makes sense then.
Wasn't it just not too long ago that he was playing in the Tour Championship? Crazy.
Yeah, those were the days. Major winner, Lucas Glover.
Yeah, people forget that, I guess, a little bit, huh?
I don't want to forget that.
Couple more. Maverick McNealy, I've seen his name thrown around a little bit, and Matthew Neesmith, 2 guys that did have a couple of good starts on that West Coast, but haven't seen him play well on the East Coast here yet.
Yeah, I'm not really there. Again, I think particularly with Neesmith, he wants clean conditions. He doesn't want what we're going to see. This is a different type of golf. I'm really banking that this is atypical, really difficult, and iron players that are just iron players may struggle. Wesley Brian has been brought up. Oh, boy.
I think he's 2 for 2 in his last 2 cuts here. I think something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of has the game for it. I believe it was Bermuda where he was mega chalk, and it actually turned into these type of conditions, and he really didn't handle it well. Handled it better than Pat Perez, who I will never, ever forgive. But I do worry about his off the tee in really, really windy conditions.
I do too. And we've been talking a lot about how the odds are drifting. We talked about it with Neiman tonight a couple times. So, of course, want to turn your attention to our odds shopper tool. course, coming with college basketball ban. This tool is being used very, very much, and you should always be checking it because, of course, betting lines change by the minute and can vary greatly depending on which book you're using. That's why it's important to use the Awesemo Odds Shopper tool to find the best line available on the game or golfer you are betting on and give you the edge that you need to beat the house. Head on over to oddsshopper.awesemo.com where you can compile the best bets available for every game in golfer, updated in real time. Sign up for free to track your bets today. So really cool tool. Going to be using that the next couple of weeks for college basketball, Ben. That tips off what, tomorrow night? Is that right? The first game, or Friday night?
So we got play-in games tomorrow night, four of them, and then we get 16 on Friday. Me and Matt Kajeski live before lock Friday morning. Anything you want, he will answer, and I will be there. So we got you covered.
So let me ask you for 1 minute. Personally, I loved the Wednesday, Thursday round ones. Like, nobody would get anything done in the world. Do you think that like corporate media was like, listen, everyone's going to watch this anyway, so let's just put it on Friday so that we still get a productive week?
Yeah, I don't really understand it because I thought that, but now they have to play Monday.
Right.
So good luck with all that. It really doesn't make a ton of sense, but a lot of things in this world right now don't make sense. So
yeah, that one's like, if you're going to do it on a Monday, you're basically just giving the next week up. But
yeah,
whatever.
That's just bizarro world shenanigans.
That's where we are here in this world. All right, back to the Make the Cut segment. Just a couple of more guys, then we'll get into our deep dives. Denny McCarthy had a hole-in-one last week.
Of course he did.
Goodness. Peter Malnati, he's been around. Do either of them see the weekend? And then let's talk about Jim Furyk and John Ha, two popular names this week.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think you can go to those putting specialists. Maybe you group them together. Kazire's probably in that bucket. I don't have a strong take, but yeah, sure.
Jim Furyk. I mean, why do people want to roster this guy so much? Do you see anything? I mean, I'm not seeing anything that excites me at all.
Yeah, people like to play him because he makes a good amount of cuts and he's very consistent and he's good in low scoring. But I don't think that he has any famous last words, but even if you're a good cut maker, nobody can survive. It's not like you're an auto cut. That's a different story. There are none of those. They don't exist in golf. And I truly believe that his straight upside is capped. And when you're talking about the percentage of points in this tournament, a majority of them are going to actually come from placement points because there's going to be barely any streaks, barely any bonuses. Jim Furyk is going to score horribly. And I really worry about that at high ownership. So easy game theory play. Get it, but not for me. No chance.
Yeah. Now, remember, Charles Howell, he was in every year make the cut at Farmers, right? Until he didn't. Right. So
this is water. Water is there are no guys that Honda and the players that just make it every year. It's impossible because it's variance.
We saw it again last week with some of the biggest names going by the wayside. So, all right, let's go into our deeper dives. And this guy, just remember him in Florida. He's the quintessential guy that if he gets things going, he's great. But when he doesn't, he gives you some content that is like none other. It's Henrik Stenson, Ben.
Oh my God.
6,700. I'm laughing because I just remember him taking the socks off, getting into the water, hitting the ball out of it, back into it. Just great. I think that was at the Arnold Palmer. I don't think it was here, but regardless. Was the Griot club throw here?
I think that was also at the Arnold Palmer.
Was that also at the Arnold? Jeez. Well,
I think it was on 6.
Or he just tossed it. I mean, you got a lot.
Again, when they have that top shot, you'll know when you go to my collection because that will be in the Jazzgrass collection. I can promise you.
So Henrik Stenson, I mean, it's terrible right now. He came in last week, I think.
Yeah, he was down there with Benny on, except he didn't have an 11. That was it. There's nothing besides his name that you could go off of. If you want to play him because he's Henrik Stenson, I guess you could do that, but there's no stat that would lead you to him.
Volatility at its maximum with Robbie Shelton, but he did make 3 birdies in the first round. He had a decent second round, but a couple of big numbers missed the cut. However, here this week, 6,600, I'm actually rather interested.
Yeah, another guy that, it's a big if. Of course, it's the only if. But if he gets through, he's a good scorer. Bermuda guy. I don't mind it. Again, I don't know how low you're going to need to go just because of a product. You can play Sanjay and still be very comfortable. Now, if you want Sanjay and Neiman, maybe you look to someone like Robbie Shelton.
Was going to try for Monday qualifying, but due to the COVID withdrawals, the ever lovable Kiradek Happy Barn Rat gets in the field. And there was a picture tweeted out by him. Looks like he's lost a lot of weight. Does that make you want to play him or not want to play him, Ben?
Yeah, that guy's the man.
We love him on the show. We really do.
It's tough. He can get crazy hot with Bermuda, and I think he's another one. I'm going to kind of hedge it. I think he's an interesting showdown play. You see how he gets going. He can just take you out of the tournament so quickly in a full slate.
One guy that has really performed well with the putter, maybe taken us a little bit by surprise, Bo Hoag. I know it's a name that we don't use, but a guy that his short game has been pretty impressive. And for this field, I saw Chad already bring him up way earlier, but Ben, I think I'm going to give him 5 or 10% this week.
Yeah, listen, I get it. Someone I don't really play either, but we're really starved for anything in the sixes. And Bo Hoag has a couple things trending in his way. I don't know how many shares I'll need, but if I get into a jam and I need someone down here, he will be in consideration. Absolutely.
If you're going to play Jim Furyk this week, why aren't you playing Ryan Armour?
Yeah, I mean, there's several guys. Johnny He, who is going to also be popular, but there's a lot of names right around Jim Furyk that they may not give you the same made cut equity, but they give you decent made cut equity and some additional upside. And then there's Charles that gives you no made cut equity, but he gives
all the upside,
style points, and you can never forget that. So there are different options, but I think Jim Furyk is wildly overblown because of the perception of him making the cut.
Armour played pretty decent last week in an event where I believe wind is going to play a big factor. I believe it was Bermuda where Armour had that, and he had a good finish here this year. So I think I like Armour a lot this week. 6,500, he's going to be in those super aggressive lineups where I'm playing Sung Jae with the Lowry, the Cam Davis, the Brendan Steele, where I'm playing 4 or 5 of them and need something like Armour. Or the guy I'll throw at you, Scott Stallings. He's a guy that certainly likes this course a lot. I'm playing him, I wouldn't say a lot, but a decent amount this week. And CT Pan as well. I think both those guys are in okay spots. Not playing all that great, but I think their price is probably a little too low even for this field.
Agree. I like Scott Stallings as well. 5 straight positive with the irons. That's all you. If you can say that with anyone in the sixes, they're in play. Simple as that.
Definitely. I saw a name floated around today on one of the articles, and it was Luke Donald at the min price.
Is there any VJ? People ask about VJ. Don't play VJ.
No. I know VJ popped here a couple of years ago, but listen, we just can't play these guys. When there's guys like Tom Lewis who has legitimate chances in GPP formats to be a decent play, I would much rather play Tom Lewis than VJ Singh, something like that. All right, let's make sure I'm covering all the names, deep dives here. Oh, Kelly Kraft. I think you've talked about him a couple times. Jeff on the Monday show talked about him, said he can get crazy hot with the irons. And then I go and look at the 2018 Honda Classic, and there's Kelly Kraft. So then Kelly Kraft this week.
Yeah, Kelly Kraft has again, you're not going to get him right often, but occasionally in fields like this, he does have what you want. He's a Texas guy, really good in the wind, and he has that upside. So, Kelly Kraft is not even close to a cash lineup. Kelly Kraft is probably not close to a core lineup, but Kelly Kraft, I think you could make a case that he belongs in the player pool, especially in the drive the green type, flop shot type tournaments.
Hasn't Steve Stricker pretty much beaten Furyk every chance recently?
It's the same thing. That's why I don't understand that. I really don't.
Crazy. Blows my mind. Lucas Herbert is just a name that I'll bring up. Not interested in him this week. Would rather play Christopher Ventura, who I think maybe is in okay form. I mean, I would say there's probably a lot of variance in golf. We already know that. Probably a lot even more variance when getting holes in one, which Ventura did a couple of weeks ago. But historically, we have seen people that get a hole in one end up playing pretty good because their form is on or whatever. I do like Ventura at 6,700 though.
I mean, Ventura is just a young, talented guy from Oklahoma State, and that just alone, he's got pedigree. So I don't think consistently he's going to figure it out, but he's going to have opportunities. And when you're in this price range, like Grayson too, you can kind of say the same things. He's a volatile guy. you
can just end it right there. He's just a volatile guy.
Yeah, just in general, on and off the course.
But if we're talking specifically about, say, the Drive the Green $5 contest on DraftKings, I think Grayson Murray maybe should get a share if you are entering 150 lineups, maybe a couple of shares. I definitely don't disagree, even if we may disagree about his off the course antics. Him and I, it is what it is. Bryce Garnett is a name that I've thrown around because of the bogey avoidance stat. Now, I get it, but you're not going to avoid bogey if you hit it into the water, which I think he will a couple of times this week.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be able to hold. That's why, again, when you're in the rough, you're able to work in and out of it. The water is binary. You're either in it or you're not. And if you're in it, you have serious, serious problems.
Two guys that I think are late adds to the field due to some of the withdrawals, but definitely have a little bit of ball striking prowess when they get hot. Bramlett and Seifert. Any interest?
Seifert is kind of interesting. I don't know exactly what, Florida State guy.
That's pretty close to here, yeah.
Yeah, we've seen some things from him. He was good in Puerto Rico, Travelers, really good around the green there. Again, it's more, do I have a reason for playing him? I'm not sure I need to at 6,200.
Yeah, I don't think I need to either. Good story, Eric Compton. If you don't know the story, here's this guy. I had to get basically a new heart.
Crazy.
And he's now qualified twice for the Honda Classic in the last 2 years. Was on the PGA Tour, was a solid PGA Tour player for years. Now, I guess, was reading a story about him. Now is in a really good place in his life, in his game, and he's healthy. I'm rooting for him. 6,200, maybe a share or two, but nothing important. But just a name that in a story that I thought I'd bring up.
Yeah, awesome story. Hope he makes the cut. Not playing him, but definitely pretty legit thing. That's an outrageous situation.
Another story, tragic story. Camilo Villegas obviously is tied to this area. Went to the Nicholas Hospital for his daughter there that ended up passing away. So definitely going to have some feels this week. He popped earlier in the season. Now he's down mid price in this field. Form is not there though, right?
No. And again, you need a reason to play these guys. I don't see the reason to play these guys.
No, I think, again, Kelly Kraft was there. How about Hank Lebiota? I know I'm reaching here, but Lebiota has not, if you look at his scores, nothing's been real low, but there hasn't been anything, I think, over 73 either, Ben, and that's going to get him through to the weekend if he goes 72, 73 this week. I think that gets him through.
Yeah, he's got opportunity. Again, another Florida State guy. I think if you're going to go down here, you want to at least prioritize a couple. Having shares of everyone we're talking about is probably misguided, but some of these guys are, as crazy as it sounds, they're definitely going to play a factor in this tournament. That's just the nature of a weak field. You get crazy, crazy things.
So I got a buddy on Twitter. I know you know Sammy Matt Smith. Actually, I played with him at the DFS Open last year. He makes a Florida State team. He went to Florida State, so he makes a Florida State team every single week. Chase Koepka, I think he's in the field this week. I don't know that he went there, but Brooks did. Do you make teams like that just for fun?
Not really, but I will make teams that are, correlated in some weird situations like that, like all guys from, Bermuda guys and stuff. And a lot of times it is a school dependent thing. So yeah, I mean, listen, there's in a week like this, a lot going on. You know what I mean?
Are you playing Chase Koepka?
No.
Okay. All right. I didn't think so. Okay. Anybody else on the deep dives? I went pretty deep. Michael Kim. I played Michael Kim this year. I'm not going to lie to you. Did we get Tim to buy into Michael Kim yesterday, or I didn't catch that segment? If he's not buying it, I don't know that I can.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're there. Can't go that deep.
Can't go that deep. Fair enough. All right, let's go ahead and go into our one and dones. We'll go into our bets, which sad for me, it was going to be bet against Berger, but now I got to find another one, obviously, as he's withdrawn. Let's go into our one and done, though. I haven't used Sung JM this week. I think he's probably the most popular pick, but I need a win, and I think he's going to give it to us this week. It seemed like he was really in form when I was watching him last week, except for around the greens. So I'm just going to go safety here, Ben. If we don't want safety, do you have a pick for our audience tonight?
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's probably the prudent move. I think Russell Henley is a guy that he's towards the top of the board, can get crazy hot, got some win equity. No one's going to use him, and you're never going to use him if it's not this week, so there's no opportunity cost.
Yeah, and Bradley Mack in our chat just wanted me to talk about Martello Orozco, the
Who the hell is that?
Monday qualifier. Another funny story: his wife dropped him off to go Monday qualify, but dropped him off to go to the airport right after, and then he didn't have to do that because he qualified for the event. Anyways, don't know anything about him. Won't be playing him this week, sadly. I do hope every Monday qualifier makes the cut. I always do. It's just a good story when that happens. But okay, let's go ahead as it approaches the 10 o'clock hour. We're still here and we're still awake though, Ben. Want to talk about, let's see, what do we got? We have our hot takes, of course. We have enough time for bets. You got a bet for everybody tonight to look at for tomorrow?
Yeah, nothing too crazy. It's pretty simple here. Any matchup with Lee Westwood, I think you can short. I don't see it at all this week. So whether that's Lowry or if he's up against them, even if you're laying juice, as long as it's not outrageous, shop that line. Lee Westwood's not in consideration for me this week.
Okay, so if you don't know what Ben is maybe even more specifically talking about, I mean, Westwood said he was tired, then went to Augusta on Monday and Tuesday and played 36 holes. I think he said each day with his son, who's going to be the caddy. This guy is 47 years old and playing out of his mind right now. He's either going to win by 5 or miss the cut by 5. I think at this point, I'm agreeing. I'm seeing Adam Scott as the name here for the tournament matchup. If you want to get in on the tired legs for round 1, let's see what we can get. We got Keegan Bradley. Are you interested? Keegan Bradley, round 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I could get behind. Yeah, he's that type of player. Again, Keegan, just got to make some putts.
Oh boy. I wish I hadn't said that, but that's where we are. Okay, I love those bets. I think it's a pretty good one there. So let's go to our hot takes. I've got a pretty scorching one. Good. I blew it so bad last week, though. Tony Finau and Cantlay, I had one of those two winning, and they both missed the cut so badly. So I guess I should go first because of that. And we've been talking a lot about pedigree. It's kind of like our theme of the week here on the Awesemo Golf Team. I appreciate Eric kind of bringing that to us. We talk about it a lot, but kind of the forefront. And I'm going with Brandon Wu. He's going to play this week. He's already in the field for next week. He's going to win one of the two events, and we will see him on tour full-time after next week.
That is a hot take, and I like it. Chat, one more push for some likes before we bounce on out of here. It's been a fun show. If you got any questions, you hit us up on Twitter. Get inside the ropes. I'm going to go with an equally hot take. Honestly, anything in this tournament is a hot take because there's just no rhyme or reason. I'm going to say that Ben Yon is the first-round leader, 70-1. I think that you can go there. He goes out early. I think he rights the ship. And you know what? If he avoids the blow-up holes, I think Ben Yon hangs a big number tomorrow in a good way.
Funny thing about Ben Yon, he used to joke about how the tour always put him out first, and then he figured out why. It's because he's one of the fastest players on the PGA Tour, and he made a joke about that this week. He was like, hey, I'm better than putting out the slow guys first. It's kind of like hey, that's why they do it. No surprise there. Well, Ben, we have got a dual week next week. The match play always gives us a really unique atmosphere.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's one of the weeks where you're going to hear about quadrants. Quadrants is going to be the word of the week. I love using it. It's exciting. It is different. We only get it once a year. It does provide some really fun game strategy. We'll go over that. And, of course, we have Dominican as well. DraftKings will put out contests for both of them. So a dual week, then Valero, which is blah. But then, Ben, can you believe it? The Masters is here. So stay tuned for all that. And, of course, Ben, tell us a little about your college basketball for the next couple of weeks. We got a promo for that, and then we send us on out of here.
Yeah, listen, college basketball, what's there to say? Match projections, all the articles, everything you need, whether it's brackets, betting, or DFS, we've got you covered. $29.95, awesemo.com/join. It's for the entire tournament. You get every single game. It's worth it. If you're playing in a tournament, you want to have some fun, or you just want to get inside the ropes. Like I said, you get slack, all of that stuff. We'd love to have you. So good luck, fellas. We will see you next week for a dual PGA week.